Europe builds and builds well.
We have the founders and the stories to prove it.
I'm Matilda Nathan, founder of Born.
And I'm Nico Evstathiou, journalist and author.
And together we will be co-hosting some of Europe's greatest founders in Europe Builds.
Scaling challenges, fundraising strategies, diverse cultures, and the art of storytelling. Join us as we explore some tough topics with candor and detail. So imagine a world where there's robots performing some of the most complex and dexterous tasks out there. We're talking things like advanced medical operations or hardcore menial labor. Now, this may sound like science fiction, but it soon might not be, because we have with us one of Europe's greatest founders, CTO and co-founder of Acumino, Minas Liarokapis, to explain to us why advanced and highly dexterous tasks might soon be replaced by robots. So a few words about Acumino first. It is a world-leading robotics and AI company working on next-generation foundation robot models for the execution of, as I said, highly dexterous tasks. Its AI robot models are trained on the most accurate data of dexterous robot interactions, and Minas is here with us today to tell us a little bit about what it takes to build such an ambitious and complex product. Minas, it's lovely to have you here with us today on Europe Builds.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed a lot so far, and I'm happy to discuss about robot dexterity and robot intelligence today.
We have a lot of questions for you today.
Yeah, it's the kind of episode where we don't have the answers, so we have a lot of questions. But of course, the first question we always ask is the elevator pitch. So assume that we're together in an elevator and a very dexterous robot is sort of clicking the buttons for us to get us to the floors that we want to go. So we have 3 minutes for you to give me a summary of who you are and what exactly have you built in the last couple of years. So what does Acumino look like? What is its story you've worked on in the past couple of years?
Excellent. So Acumino today is a robotics AI company focusing on foundation robot models for industrial automation, for manufacturing, for increasing the penetration of robotics in factories. In the future, our vision is a general robotic intelligence for robots that are useful everywhere, in houses, hospitals, homes. So we are building the intelligence for the robots of today and the robots of tomorrow. But we believe that the path, so as for robotics to become more dexterous, to work on par with humans, to collaborate with humans, to be co-workers of humans, passes through industrial automation. This unlocks $1 trillion opportunity, and we are pushing very hard to increase the penetration of robotics-based automation in factories today. Of course, building the intelligence of the future. How we do that? We focus on what has not been done before. We focus on very, very dexterous manipulation. We focus on how we can execute tasks that are not possible with robots today.
And on a personal note, you made the leap from academia to becoming a founder, right? So tell us a little bit about that shift. It's something we see sometimes, but how was it in your case? Was it a clear choice in wanting to do something more practical? So what led you to becoming a founder?
I think that it's very common in robotics these days. If you see all the other very big AI companies that focus on robotics, they have all of them co-founders that are academics, all of them. Okay, I may not say all of them, maybe most of them, but most of them, they have founders that are still in academia. They have a very big presence still in academia. And some of them, they work part-time in the company and part-time in academia. Why is that? Because robotics is in the early stages still. Everybody's waiting for robotics to take off, for humanoids to be ready to deliver value in everyday life environments. But in order to deliver this vision of robots that are useful everywhere, you need to have very strong foundations. You need to have the right background. You need to understand robotics very, very well. And typically you find this background in academia. And of course, everybody is transitioning from academia to the real market. And we are trying to rewire our brain, because our brain is, an academic brain that needs to be very thoroughly rewired in order to understand and deliver value to industry.
I understand kind of the more kind of objective career path from academia to founding a startup, but maybe let's go 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Was it something that you kind of had thought you would kind of end up being a founder of a startup?
Not
or
really.
It just happened?
No, not really. It happened. And I think it happened because now robotics is ready to deliver value to the markets. 10 years ago, it was not ready. 10 years ago, if you want to do state-of-the-art research and development in robotics, academia was your playground. Academia was where you can deliver impact. Today, the situation is different. Today, robotics is much more mature. We have the hardware. The hardware is almost ready. I don't say completely ready because we still push forward and we deliver better and better hardware every day. But we don't have the intelligence. We cannot use the hardware to its full potential. So today, the biggest challenge is how you transition robotics to the market, how you deliver value to the customers, how you help companies increase their productivity. The product to market fit. This is very, very important, and this is an exercise that is very, very challenging for all the roboticists. I see a lot of challenge today that did not exist 10 years ago. That's why it is much more interesting to be in industry today in robotics. And a lot of people are transitioning from academia to industry because we really see the value that robotics will bring in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of double click on Minas's kind of brain and kind of understand you a bit better before we go into kind of how you build actually Acumino and kind of how you're thinking now of commercializing it. But could you walk us through kind of a big decision you had to make for Acumino and kind of help us understand how you made that decision?
A lot of big decisions and a lot of risky decisions with Acumino. One of the decisions is to focus on industrial automation. Why? Because we really don't believe that humanoids are ready to deliver value today. They will be ready maybe in 10 years, maybe in 15 years, maybe in 20 years. And we understood very, very quickly that the penetration of automation in industry is only 5 to 6% worldwide. If we take into consideration all the factories, all the product lines, only 5 to 6% is automated. So we see with Acumino a huge opportunity to increase the penetration of automation and try to solve, to address the challenges of the 95%, of the 94%. How we can increase the dexterity of robotics so as to deliver more value in industry. And we believe that this is a realistic path for robotics. You cannot hope that you will develop AI models for when humanoids will be ready. You need to deliver AI robot models today that will be useful today in industry. This is a risky.
I have to say, it sounds quite low, right? 5 to 6%. It sounds lower than I would anticipate, having done no research. So why do you think that is? What is causing industry to not adopt automation and robotics to a larger extent so far?
Because it is very, very hard for robotics to reach the levels of reliability that humans deliver in production. You have completely different metrics. In academia, your metric is to make it work once or sometimes. In industry, it's all about reliability. How consistent the performance of the robot system is. It's a completely different way of thinking. So all the roboticists, we need to move from we made it work once, we proved the concept, to, oh, look, it works reliably in a factory. It delivers real value. It can work
all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
What's the reliability?
Not all the time. Reliability.
As much as the human would be reliable in the factory line, right? So, absolute majority of the time, let's say.
Yeah, imagine that you execute the tasks, Matilda, 10,000 times. How many times the task will be executed successfully? How many times the product will be perfect without any defects, without any rework needed?
when I asked you about what was a big decision you had to make, you said you decided to go more into the manufacturing, using Acumino for manufacturing. You said it was a risky decision. What was the risk there?
We need to educate people. A lot of people, they don't believe that robotics is as ready as it is. So we need to show them, we need to do some pilots, we need to do some POCs. Unfortunately, because we are the first movers in trying to deploy robotic systems with this new level of dexterity, we need to educate the clients.
Of course.
We need to show them what is possible. We need to do the product market fit first. And we need to remove all the friction. We need to make initially the static friction, kinetic friction, and then remove it completely. And this is hard, always.
So we jump into kind of building of Acumino.
Yeah.
And commercially speaking, your decision to actually go for hardware agnostic type of software makes a lot of sense. But I am very curious of kind of what are the type of complexity you had to actually combat to be able to create such a machine.
I think that this should be the default. I mean, we don't know how the market will look like in 2 years, in 5 years. We don't know which robot manufacturer will dominate the market. So you cannot rely on specific robot manufacturers. A lot of companies are hardware agnostic. I'm not claiming that Acumino is special or that our competitive advantage is that we are hardware agnostic. I think that all the companies that are ambitious, they need to be hardware agnostic. They cannot afford to offer a technology that is working only on a specific manufacturer. This is not scalable. This is not a way to build truly a general robotic intelligence.
100% agree. I'm just curious of how difficult it is to actually build for different types of devices, or it's like a walk in the park. That's a non-issue for you guys.
It's easy for us. Yeah. We don't. It's just engineering work, and we are not compatible with all the manufacturers today. We are with a lot of manufacturers, but not with all of them. But our ability to integrate new manufacturers is very, very good and fast. The whole process takes a few weeks, and we determine what are the next steps and what manufacturers to support next based on the clients and the product market fit that we do.
So we had a lot of hype about generative AI because of ChatGPT, right? And all the products that followed it. It kind of dominated conversation across the AI spectrum. Someone would argue even eclipsing some of the other potential applications that AI could have, right? Like in the field that you have. So I'm wondering, what was the effect of this Gen AI hype on your own operations and product development, let's say? Do you think that it sort of eclipsed the conversation of the capabilities of AI because we focused way too much on text generation or image generation, video generation, and things like that?
No, I think it was very, very useful. I think that it educated people, the generative AI. Let's call it a bubble. And why I call it a bubble? Because you hear a lot about videos. You see a lot of very cool demos. But the real discussion is, what is the value that they generate? These technologies are great, impressive. They make people talk about them. They make people passionate about them. You may like them, you may hate them. But what is the value that they generate? Can we go back to the value? And I think that this is a big discussion that we should have all together, the people that work on AI and robotics, both fields. How we create value with these methods. Not just cool demos, because LinkedIn is full of cool demos, full of cool videos. Okay, but this is just a publicity stunt. This is just marketing. how should we prepare new business models? How should the business models look like? What are the revenue streams? What kind of value we deliver to the customers? What are the customers? It's not clear to me right now. Do I use generative AI? Of course, every day. Do I like it? No, I don't. I think it's in the early stages. I mean, let me give you an example. Have you tried to generate hands with generative AI?
That's the most difficult one.
6 fingers, 7 fingers, a thumb that is at the back of the palm. So when you use models to create human faces or human hands, you see the limitations of the technology. Of course, if you ask generative AI to create, I don't know, a
Speech,
mountain.
a dog, like a
mountain.
you mean visually?
Visually. I don't think that the human eye can find the tiny details that the generative AI couldn't reproduce accurately. But when you try to recreate something that is human, like the human hand or the human face, you see the shortcomings. And my other problem with generative AI is that do we really want such a future for our kids, for our society? Do we really want AI to be focusing on art? If you ask me personally, I prefer to spend my time, my free time, whenever I have it. It sounds like a joke these days. To play music, to read a book, to write, I don't know, poetry or something. So I think that people can be creative. This is what differentiates us from machines. I think that the real impact of AI will come when AI will empower robots to do the things that we don't want to do. And I want to have more free time to focus on painting, playing music, reading books. And I want the dangerous, boring, repetitive tasks to be done by a robot. And
Makes a
this
lot
is
of
part of
sense.
the, and sorry for interrupting, Matilda, but this is part of the big
Not
discussion.
at all.
How we generate value with AI. It's not clear. And it is $1 trillion question.
You're touching upon value. You touched before upon kind of business models. Can you talk to us about commercialization and kind of how does a company like Acumino tackle that head on from a kind of an industry standpoint? And where do you see adding the most value in the coming years?
First of all, I love meeting with clients. I love it. I meet with clients many times per week, and I consider it very, very interesting for me because I rewire my brain. And I love it when we start discussing about numbers. What numbers? Numbers that have to do with their production. I need to understand what the bottlenecks are. I need to understand what the cost of production is. I need to understand what the challenges of every client are. Because if all these things are not clear to me, I cannot provide to the client robotic solutions that make sense from a return on investment perspective. So two things matter: reliability and return on investment. Nobody cares about the specifics of your promises around AI. They care about what is the value that your AI generates today. And this is the biggest obstacle for robotics.
Okay, and how do you ensure that you stay focused in kind of like a specific industry while at the same time experimenting? But I think like what I've seen before, especially in commercialization, especially in early stage, is that you go like very broad until you find something that sticks, but still it can be you can be too focused maybe on a specific client rather than looking at the bigger picture and seeing kind of where you should double down as maybe an industry, not as a company needs.
You are spot on, Matilda. You have to go broad initially in order to understand what are the different verticals, and you need to model what is the friction of penetrating the different verticals. Once you have quantified the friction, and once you start receiving phone calls from clients, then you find the sweet spot. You find the verticals where these are easier to penetrate. This is what we do with Acumino right now. And of course, like all the other companies, we keep developing our technology. we keep developing state-of-the-art AI methods, what we call a general robotic intelligence. But we really think that modeling this friction, understanding the different verticals, understanding the markets, understanding the business needs, the client needs, it is as important as the AI. Why? Because most of the times, the company that wins the race is the company that has the least friction to the market. So we want to be ready because we believe that other companies will develop great AI solutions, but then they will have no clue how we go to the market.
You said that one of the key challenges that factories have is that they don't know which are the tasks or which are the kind of positions that they need to automate first. And that actually Acumino can help you with that. So was that as originally you had planned for this, or it came through some of your conversations with clients, this need?
This was a very sweet accident. We accidentally found that this is very, very important and very, very interesting and very valuable for Acumino. And let me tell you how. I visited in June some companies in Japan. One of them is a very, very large company, north of Kyoto, in the area of Shika. And I was discussing with them, and they have indeed a need to automate. Because, Japan, like Europe, they have problems with labor and skill gaps. These companies that do not have a lot of automation solutions running in their production, they don't really know what is next. They know that they need to automate. They know that they need to have a roadmap, but this roadmap is not a quantitative roadmap. They typically go to consulting firms and they tell them, you know what, please prepare a roadmap for us. And what the consulting firms do, they give them a roadmap that is a PDF full of nice words. They give them some best practices, they give them some summaries about the robot state of the art, the AI, the hardware. Is this really useful? Of course not. It is just a discussion. It is just brainstorming, but without a quantitative roadmap, without concrete next steps, without a direction. So they tell you where you are. But I think that companies, they know where they are. They know that they will have very, very soon a very big problem with the labor and skill gaps. They know that the competition worldwide will be very, very strong in the next few years. They know that Asia, China, South Korea, China has lower labor costs and they automate a lot. They are winning right now. And they know that they need to change their models. So they know where they are. What they don't know is where they need to go and how. What is the path? What is the trajectory? What are the next steps? What does the Acumino technology offer? Our system is wearable. We can wear the robotic system. The humans are the proxies of the robotic system. We can accommodate on our hands the robotic end effectors, and we can go to a factory and we can collect big data of what is possible today with robotics. By analyzing this data, by testing the data that we collect against the model performance, we can go back to the client and tell to the client, you have 100 stations in your factory. The quantitative analysis of the data that we collected from your production shows that station 24, station 96, and station 5 are the first that can be automated. These are the tasks that need the least effort in order to be automated.
So I have a follow-up on this. This is sort of a quant-heavy approach to generating interest for dexterous robots, right? So you sort of do the analysis and you give specific directions. But I'm sure that part of the messaging has to also be qualitative storytelling, if you will, about how this is the future for these companies, for these potential clients. So what is the role of that storytelling that complements sort of the data? And how do you package it to create a convincing story for dexterous robots for your clients and solidify their interest?
Okay, I believe that yes, you need to have also the qualitative part. But the qualitative part is just the cherry. The real value comes from the numbers. if you talk to people that are in the production lines, they don't care about the qualitative part. The qualitative part is there just to convince the C-level executives that, you know what, guys, you have a problem. But they know that, they appreciate that. If you go to different exhibitions, trade fairs, and things like that, you will see that they are very skeptical about the future. They know that they don't have a lot of time to react. They feel that they have years, maybe months, to react to what is happening worldwide. And they understand that they need to invest. And they are willing to invest. But then the question becomes, okay, where do we invest? How do we invest? What do we do first? So I don't think that we have time, Nico, for qualitative discussions. We know that the situation is extremely challenging. We know that we need to move fast. We know how we need to act. We need to automate. We don't know how to start.
I wanted to kind of add a European layer to our discussion. And just, I believe you guys are headquartered in the US. You have your kind of lab activities down in New Zealand, but you also have a Greek office. And I know that you've started doubling down on European clients as well in Greece and beyond. So kind of why this focus in Europe?
Talent density. Athens is a very beautiful city. Greece is a very beautiful country that has huge talent density. We have amazing universities. People may not know them overseas. If they go and check their rankings, they may see that they are, 400, 300. But they produce excellent talent, all of them. I can find here engineers that they have the background, the knowledge, the skills that I need in order to have a world-class team. So I think that here in Athens, there is an opportunity to have very, very strong product development teams.
What about kind of actually focusing on Europe as a client?
Of course.
Why?
And in Athens, we have a lot of discussions because in Athens, it's very easy to test the different verticals, right? It's very easy to discuss with companies, identify what is the friction in different verticals. You can use Greece as a test country in order to test how you penetrate with more dexterous automation, different verticals. And then once you are ready, you deploy worldwide. Why Europe? The situation in Germany, the situation in Luxembourg, the situation in all the countries of the Central Europe that need to automate in order to stay relevant. The big players, let's discuss a little bit about the big players. The big players in AI, they are all in the US. All of them.
Odd.
What is the solution of Europe? What is Europe doing? What company is the champion of Europe? What is the horse of Europe in the race? We hope that Acumino will be the horse of Europe in this race. And of course, we are not a European company. We are a Greco-American / New Zealand company. But we believe, / Kiwi company. But we truly believe that in Europe, we can have a very, very big presence, that we can have very, very strong product development teams. We can have a lot of deployments. We see a lot of value in Europe, and we want to help Europe stay relevant.
So I really love this response. I want to be optimistic, so I'm going to ask 2 follow-ups to sort of gain some optimism, right? Because we're having this discussion at an interesting time. It's post-US election where, we're expecting that Europe needs to work extra hard to be autonomous on all fronts, industry included, competitiveness included, right? So my 2 questions, one has to do with Greece. Since we haven't been early adopters of other technological trends, do you think that we could leapfrog into the age of automation? What makes you think that? And on a second level, what makes you think that Europe can find its horses? Do you see any signs that we're moving towards this direction where we want AI, autonomy, and independence in Europe as well?
This is an excellent question. Thank you so much. I was really hoping that I would get a question like that. So, Greece.
Okay.
Greece missed the opportunity to participate, to be strong in industrial automation historically. we missed the opportunity of all the industrial revolutions up to today. And let's assume that today we are in the fourth industrial revolution, Industry 4.0. Very, very fast, Industry 5 is coming. And Industry 5 will be all about robotics, industrial automation with human levels of dexterity, ultra-flexible manufacturing, personalized production, on-demand production. Maybe there is an opportunity for Greece, although we didn't really participate in the previous industrial revolutions, to cheat and go directly to Industry 5. Maybe the very nature of Industry 5 is very, very good for countries like Greece, because Industry 5 will not need the huge factories where you have huge machinery that needs to be installed, that needs significant investments, that needs a lot of land, that needs a lot of expertise, that needs a lot of industrial automation DNA, the old kind of DNA, the old kind of manufacturing DNA. It's all about humans and robots working together. What if we invest in this, our time, our effort, and what if we catch up with the other guys in Industry 5? That will be amazing, right? I think that this can be
Definitely.
a goal for all the countries that are like Greece, for all the countries that missed the opportunity to be part of the industrial revolutions. And why not? We can be key players in the new industrial revolution. Why not? Europe can be a key player.
We usually close by asking for founders to identify one trait that they think is the most important trait that a founder should possess. We know it's very difficult to narrow it down, but we've heard things such as tenacity, grit, the importance of a team. What is something that you would identify as the most important trait that you believe a founder should possess to build well?
Passion. You need to be passionate about it. You need to be passionate about the impact that you're going to deliver. You need to wake up in the morning and look forward to go to the office in order to keep delivering this impact. And believe me, robotics is here to change society forever. People are afraid that it will have a devastating effect in different aspects of society, that jobs will be lost. The reality is that economies will be transformed completely. Economies will not look like they look today with robotics fully deployed. The essence of an economy will change through industrial automation, through robotics. And unfortunately, we see societies aging. We see a lot of countries like Greece. Greece has a huge demographic problem. Japan, the same. Europe is a continent that has a huge problem with the aging of the population. We really need robotics to be successful, not only for the economy, not only for the businesses, the factories, to help humans, to make the careers, the lives of humans longer and healthier, but we need them also for our societies.
Thank you so much, Mina.
Thank you, Mina. I'm not surprised you chose passion, right? Matilda, I don't think you're surprised either.
Not at all. You sound like a very passionate person.
Thank you so much. Minas Liarokapis, CTO and co-founder of Acumino, unfolded a passionate, ambitious, optimistic, and bold vision for what robotics and AI could look like in its next generation. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Builds, where we show that the European ecosystem is no longer an underdog story.
If you liked our episode and want to hear more, follow Europe Builds on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Born's YouTube channel.